Let's suppose you're a beginner in meditation. When I started as a beginner 20 odd years ago, what enticed me was reading a book by Paramahansa Yogananda called Man's Eternal Quest. And then I was so impressed with that I read Autobiography of a Yogi. He talks extensively about this union he experienced or was able to have, this union with God, this divine connection. And at that time, that was my quest. I guess the first thing that led me to all of this was a draw and an interest to the Native American flute. Once I started to play the Native American flute, I got more interested in the origins of the flute, where it came from, what it was used for, and of course there wasn't a lot of information about it at the time. It's quite popular now. Friends of mine found a book called Fool's Crow's Wisdom and Power. It was written by Frank Fool's Crow of the Lakota Sioux. He was a medicine man, and purported by some to be the last medicine man of his time period. Apparently he was trying to pass on his pipe, his medicine bundle, and his wisdom and all the prayers that he'd picked up to someone within the tribe, and many of these people didn't quite work out, and I'll just leave it at that. They gave me this book and I read it, and what he was sharing there with the author, who I think is, I want to say Thomas Males, but I think I'm going to get that wrong. I guess I'll have to look it up. He requested that the author not share this publication until after Fool's Crow had passed away. He thought that it would infuriate tribal members and officials that he was sharing his sacred prayers, his medicine, to just any average Joe that wanted to pick the book up. My friends Jen and Pierre bought me this book. I was immediately attracted to it. I was especially attracted to making the medicine wheel, or the prayer wheel. When Fool's Crow described how this medicine wheel was made, there was a big part of this prayer after this medicine wheel was constructed and consecrated, so to speak, that there was a prayer that he would do where he would ask God, Creator, Wakantanka, how he refers to the Creator God, to rid him of all of the blockages that he felt that were inside of him, and allow this healing power of God, Wakantanka, great mystery, to be able to come through. And he talks about it like being a hollow bone, and seeing how there would be a bone that would have, the marrow in it. And I know this is kind of a graphic description. He gives a good visual, and that would of course be, not a hollow bone. So imagine this completely clear and free of all of the things that may have been blocking the energy to be able to flow through. So he would actually see himself taking this this so-called bad energy or these blockages, taking them out of his chest and just giving them up to the Creator, and letting that energy come through to make him clear and clean, and have the ability to be able to let there be this flow without any kind of blockage. Also, he never believed that he possessed these powers. He believed these powers came through him from different sources, but mainly through Creator. I was taken by this prayer, and I went out and I followed his instructions, and I began to do this prayer when I made this medicine wheel. It must have been 1994, 93 or 94. I was sincere and I was in earnest, because I had had a lot of problems in the past of sadness, depression, drug use, alcohol abuse. I had suffered some major traumas as a child, where I was actually sexually abused by a trusted doctor in our community for quite a few years. He not only abused me, but he abused possibly hundreds of other children before he was ultimately caught. I know that this was part of a trauma that I had been holding on to, and going into this naively, not understanding that I may be, I had no business working with such energies and such powers just from a book. I wasn't Native American. I didn't have this passed down to me. But in that naivete at the time, and the sincerity that was there, and the real heart, and the real earnestness, and searching and looking for a way to relieve myself of this pain, this suffering, the anger, the sadness, the depression. The flute came in just about, first, and then the Fool's Cruel book came in, and I began to do these ceremonies that were in the book, and they did change me. I did feel a difference. I did feel a connection to Creator. I felt a tremendous connection to Earth, and I started to feel a deeper connection with nature itself. I began to listen, I began to look, I began to pay attention to signs, to when I saw this bird or that bird or a butterfly or a bumblebee or whatever it may be, hearing, things in the wind, listening to this guidance from a source that seemed to be in me and of me, but not of my mind. And of course we can argue till the cows come home about what is mine and what is not mine, but that's another video. We have, when we begin to search, we have what's called a way-seeking mind. And my way-seeking mind was this part of me, part of myself, part of my mind that thought there's got to be another way to live besides feeling angry, depressed, and sad, and frustrated, and discontented. There must be another way to live. Even if I had pictures of people, happy families out at picnics, like in one movie, normal people, the so-called normal people that were happy and I wasn't. What did they have that I didn't have? And I wanted to find this. Maybe they had God. Maybe they had religion. Maybe they had spirituality or something. So living in the community that was quote-unquote kind of the hub of the New Age, I was very open, and like I said, there was some naivete there as well. But in this openness, I wasn't afraid to try things. And this is the thing that rang a bell with the way-seeking mind, and that was the beginning.